by François Charrois, the ecological state and human activity. I'm the moderator of the water management plan that is implemented by all the stakeholders. When you speak about a lake, you also speak about the catchment area of the lake, and its activity depends from all the different rivers and all the water that comes to the lake. In order for you to understand the catchment area, it is located not far from the Atlantic Ocean, in the area of Pays de la Loire, and it is on two départements, Loire-Atlantique Department and Vendée Department in the south. You've got a series of pictures of different landscapes you can find when you walk around the catchment area of Grand-Lieu. The catchment area of Grand-Lieu is a small one, 840 square kilometers, human scale, and it's quite easy to implement water policy in order to regain the aquatic, the water habitats. The catchment area is fed by four main rivers. The first one is Ognon, on the east part of it, 40 kilometers long. Then La Boulogne, draining the catchment area. This river is fed on the east by La Logne and on the east by l'Issoire River. It's a network that is largely drained. And of course the Grand-Lieu Lake that is fed by all the different rivers we've spoken about. My point this morning is to show all the different kinds of pressure on the catchment area and compare it with the water quality. So I'll speak about the different types of pressure we can find. And the second part, the evolution of the water quality in the catchment area, hence the one of the Grand-Lieu Lake. First of all, the evolution of the population around two main cities, Nantes in the north and in the south, the city of La Roche-sur-Yon. As you can see here, the demographic pressure is big by the lake, all connected with the industrial activities and all the different activities that happen in the city of Nantes. There is also an increase in the population since the beginning of the 21st century. More than 25,000 inhabitants on the territory.
Non, ça ne le sera pas, c'est aussi petit sur mon format papier, c'est pas bien grave. En tout cas, tout cela pour vous dire que sur le bassin versant ici, on dénombre 83
area, we've got 83,000 inhabitants, so an increase of pressure here and there. Industrial parks in the catchment area are also around both cities. Regarding the industrial park, we don't have that many industries, food industries, so little impact on the quality of water due to the activities of this type of industry. So we are between the city of Nantes and the city of La Roche-sur-Yon. As a consequence, the catchment area is mainly rural. Agriculture has shaped the landscape. We'll see that on a picture. And it's important to understand that you've got all the different types of agriculture. Here, on the map, we've got the identification of the different types of agriculture in the catchment area. After 2010, we can see in the south we tend to have pork breeding. In the Allogne area, we've got also winemaking with the production of muscatel wine that can also be found on the edges of the area, and we'll have the opportunity to taste it, by the way. It's also interesting to see that we've got cow breeding for milk and meat, and only for a few years we also have market gardening activities. It's a brand new activity that comes from the north by the Loire River. Originally it was there north, and now it's going south, in particular by the Logne River. I think it's interesting to understand the different types of agriculture because they use different types of inputs, nitrates, etc. for their protection. Hence, we have to take into account the impact of the different products used for the different types of agriculture. When we speak about space organization, it's interesting to see it in time, the evolution. So here's a picture taken in 1950 and another one in 2013. There, on the top photography, 15 lots, and the latest photography, we just have one lot.
Donc tout ça pour vous dire que l'aménagement de l'espace a été façonné par l'agriculture.
So space organization has been shaped by intensive agriculture that started in the 70s, creating a new landscape in the catchment area. In red on the map, you can see the sector where the pictures were taken. In that part, the union or the association of the catchment area has worked a lot. So if you have questions about wetlands, you can speak with the director of this association who's here today with us. It's also interesting to understand that these wetlands work as a sponge and improve the quality of water. I come from this area, was born there, and I'm used to being with elder people, and when they tell me that it took 3 days for the river to be overflowed, whereas today it's 3 hours, and to go back to normal it used to take 3 days, and now it takes 3 hours. So the way we organize this area has an impact on every element of the landscape. So the network is drained regarding surface water, and regarding groundwater we've got granite soils, and there we've got sand ground that farming likes a lot. I spoke about flooding, I spoke about the hydraulic regime, severe low flows. The flows can start, the severe low flows can start already in April. It happened in 2011, where we started speaking about a decree to stop using river water and lake water. That has an impact on the quantity of water used for farming. Two areas suffer high pressure. The chaussée area, a little tributary here. We're there a little bit south. On the eastern part of the lake, we've got an area used for market gardening and other production in the La Planche sector that is also much connected to market gardening. So a local pressure, and farmers know that they cannot use this water in summer, so we can maintain the water column even if there is zero water getting there. Protecting the Grand-Lieu Lake, we also have to act on the catchment area. Other stakeholders have decided to act. So different laws, the water law of 92 said that water management could be done at the catchment area level. And in 1996, governance was organized in order to define the objectives and the different ways to act and to reach them. First of all, you've got the main 6 issues that were defined then, and that allowed the drafting up of a water resources management that was approved in 2002. 6 main issues were identified: water quality, quality of the aquatic environments, wetlands, also quantitative management in times of low flow, in particular in summer, quantitative management also, and governance in order to ensure coherence. There was a paradox then, because this document, without saying it, was designed to save the Grand-Lieu Lake. Now this scheme has been amended and there is one more issue. There was much tension then, and in order to save this area, we've added a new issue, which is the management of the Grand-Lieu Lake with this perspectives. That's why I'm very happy to welcome you here, because as a manager of this scheme, always have to think of how to, what conclusion to draw from the different indicators. So I'd like to have your feedback after my presentation.
So protecting the Grand-Lieu Lake was about protecting its watershed, its catchment area, but also to protect its regulations. So here you can see the Natura 2000 area. We have another area where we work on the national reserve, the regional reserve. So I'm going to let Christophe and Jean-Marc talk about it in more details. So without getting too much into details, we have classified area, protected areas, and registered areas, and also Natura 2000 place on the Lake of Grand-Lieu. To measure the quality of water on our watershed, on our catchment area, we had to invent measures about the flows, so monitoring the flow. We have places, heritage places that measure the flow of water for years, that have been measuring this flow for years, and that enables us to keep control of to keep track of the lower river flow in the summer. To measure the quality of water, we can rely on the network, so heritage network, the water agency, for instance, in France, that enable us to monitor and to measure things related to the Water Framework Directive, and we have other places where we can measure the middle or upstream areas of the watershed, and these are areas that are here to feed the department observatories. We also use some specific observation areas to measure the quality of fishes in the water. If we look at the details, if I take a closer look at some parameters, especially phosphorus, so if we look at the implementation of the water law in 2005, we can see that some efforts were carried out by the by the local territories. We can see that we had high peaks. Sorry, I'm going back to phosphorus. So we have high peaks that existed and that were here to... It was the case on all of the rivers. Here we have graphs showing averages. So we can see the highest point and the lowest points on these graphs. I didn't have time to look at all of the data, to look at the 90 percentile, which is here which exists because it enables us to have a better understanding of the situation, getting rid of the highest and lowest point. So here you have measures from the watersheds. So these measures in 2000 focused mostly on punctual pollution contamination, so related to the outputs of water treatment plants. And we were able to carry out actions with the water treatment plants. Today we have one area in the Olognon River. It's where the output of the Saint-André de Crèzemois water treatment plant is, and it still has an impact. All the punctual pollution is in that area today. We believe that the situation today is regular. It's diffuse. Agriculture, farming had to abide by new rules, new regulations, and today we work together in collaboration with the farmers. Today, as I'm going to tell you later, we were able to work with the farmers about nitrates. So today we are in a downward trend, which is good. Pressure is increasing on our watershed yet it does not have an impact on our nitrate concentration. Today, when we look at the percentile, we are not over the 400 milliliters on the watershed, so we're quite happy about it. Today, there is something else that was quite important in 2000, but it's no longer important. I wanted to go back to water treatment plants. We restructured them. We have a park that is pretty new today. So our water treatment plants manage the tributaries with activated sludge with very high yield. And in Vendée, we have a different system, and the yield is lower, but the pressure is also lower because there are less inhabitants. So a different approach related to phytosanitary. Here, let's not shoot the messenger, let's not focus on one player or not. Everybody is impacted by phytosanitary product. The person gardening on Sunday, the farmer, and everybody has a responsibility and a role to play there. What we've noticed is that on our watershed, if we have rainfalls over 10 milliliters, we are over 2 micrograms per liter, which is the threshold stated by all the stakeholders. Here, what you can see on the bottom left corner, when you have action policy carried out by local authorities, we can reduce by 90% the use of phytosanitary products on our watershed. So we can see that local policy make a difference. We also have people in the watershed area. It's not always, people don't really like it to see plants, start accepting seeing plants and natural plants growing in the city centers and the village centers. We are going to work on reducing erosion and reducing entrance, so phosphorus, nitrates. There is something that we have to do with the farmer population today. And this will have to go through technical practices with their technical advisors, but also planning and having more hedges, different type of hedges, to give a better role to humid areas, wet zones in the catchment area. There is more and more pressure on our watershed, and despite of that increasing pressure, we can see that it does not have an impact on the quality of water. We don't have any evolution, but except for a downward one, but we have the water is bad quality for the Onia River. So the strategy is really to work on this territory. To conclude, it's my last slide, and it's related to the theme of our summit today. Here is the graph where you can see the average. So we have the oignon, it's the quality of water entering the lake. We also have the quality of water at the Boulogne entry of the lake. And here you have the quality of the nitrate approach at the output of the lake. And we can see that we know we have a real wetland here. That really makes a difference. But when we classify the lake within the framework directive, the water framework directive, it looks like this lake has a poor quality of water. Today we are wondering at Grand-Lieu, how could we qualify our lake? How could we, where do we implement our monitoring? Where do we do our sampling to measure the quality of water? And the different indicators, what kind of indicators should we use? We We spoke about fauna before. We saw that fauna was a good indicator to assess the quality of a lake. These are the open questions that I would like to ask you all in the name of the different stakeholders working in the Grand-Lieu area, and I'll be ready to speak with you about those. Thank you very much. So thank you for this presentation. We have time for a few questions. Your priorities, so actions to carry out on the oignon and pollution. Have you thought about creating artificial wetlands, like buffer areas? It could be a good idea to develop. Have you thought about it? So yes, a farming plan, farming scheme is going to be implemented very soon in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So they've identified two targets for phytosanitary products and phosphorus. We know that these two elements are related to the dripping on the watershed. So the action plan, in terms of leverage, identifies the farming processes for breeding, farming and wine production. Other than that, we have identified another leverage, which is related to planning, getting back to hedges, to buffer areas, to restoring identified wetlands. So yes, indeed, it is part of the action plan that we want to carry out with the farmers. It is an action program, and they have actually been leaders in drafting this scheme. Today, when we look at the two pictures, so 15 plots in 50 years ago and one plot today, they realize that the idea is not that we would have so to go back to the past, but the idea is really to identify ways to have an impact on the catchment area. And so we will have an impact on the quality of water, and we will also have an impact on the quantity of water, so the water drip. Let's go back to what you were saying. What was most shocking in the aerial pictures you showed us was the missing of rivers that could really make, the lack of rivers that could really make a difference. So restoring rivers maybe could also be part of the solution. Today, other ways to look at the problem and the issue could be to list all the rivers and streams and re-qualify those streams. Today, we know that ODEMA gives us a lot of information about denitrification from the different sites, so we know that we are in the awareness-raising phase. The two farming chambers we're working with are communicating with the professionals and the farmers to work about renaturation. The Bassin Grand-Lieu Union organization is working on bringing nature back in this area. So diversification of habitats, we're looking at the biology part, and we also want to look at the quality of water. Thank you very much. I think that we are going to